Hey, what's up, everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today we're going to ask the most important question at the beginning of any year. Is this game I'm talking about worth playing and spending your time in 2021? The game, obviously, that we were talking about is the Elder Scrolls Online, and if you are a brand new player in ESO or you are thinking about picking up this game, you probably want to know, should I even invest my time in an MMORPG? Traditionally, MMORPGs are time sinks, and you can't just pop in and get value out of it right away. I think you're going to be surprised, however, with ESO when I get into what makes this game so great. But I wanted to wait to make this video after we received the latest news of Gates of Oblivion. There were a lot of videos before that was even released, and so I wanted to actually just take the time and see what we were getting this year. I wanted to see if we had anything to look forward to in 2021, and I'm going to cover all of that and break down if this game is worth playing in 2021 for you. If you have any questions about anything I'm going to talk about here, though, you can always come and talk to me at twitch.tv/brahwegotthis Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. I stream there. You can also join our Discord. We have an amazing Discord that is over 3,200 people in it. You can join in the link in the description, and you can check out the link of the Twitch in the description as well. Also, if you'd like to join my Patreon, I've got the link below in the description. So I just want to give a shout out to all my patrons. Thank you so much for the support. You can check out all the perks below. And lastly, you can follow me at brahwegotthis on Twitter, and our website is brahwegotthis.com. So you were thinking about picking up ESO in 2021, and you want to know, is this a game that I should invest time into? First off, you need to know that MMOs, like I said before, take time to play and take time to get value out of. However, I will say that I think ESO has the most welcoming and well-made MMO structure out of any of them. Even at the early levels, you can still have fun and feel like you are working towards something for the end game. And now is one of the best times to be joining in on the fun, and we will get to that later. But first, let's talk about what makes ESO such an easy MMO to casually play compared to other ones. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to break it down into the pros of ESO, and then I'm going to go into the cons, in my opinion. And then I'll touch briefly on the new systems we are getting this year after all of that. The first thing that I want to talk about, though, is the community itself. ESO's community is the best community of a game that I've ever been a part of, and it's the best community that I've ever been a part of in an MMO as well. This community is so welcoming, it's so helpful, and yes, there's little pockets of toxic people, but that's going to be there in every community. But for the most part, you could ask people to help you out in ESO, and they will. I've got so many helpful people here in my community that help new players out, veterans out, and so it's just something that you really should take into account when deciding if you want to play this. The community is what makes this game so great in so many ways. Next, one of the biggest things is the questing system in ESO. The best, again, of any MMO on the market. ESO has fully voice-acted quests. They are intriguing, they bring life to the game, and they have their own unique lines. You have a main overarching quest in the base game, then you have 3 faction main quests in their zones. So Aldemary Dominion, Ebonheart Pact, and Daggerfall Covenant have 5 zones associated with them. There's a zone quest that goes through all of those. Then in each of those, you have countless side quests that make up those zones as well. And that's just the base game. Then you have every expansion. So Morrowind, Somerset, Elsewhere, Greymoor, and soon to be Blackwood. All of these zones have main quests and play on each other. They have side quests as well as the base game, and on top of that, you have the DLC zones, like Murkmire, Thieves Guild, Dark Brotherhood, Hrothgar, Clockwork City, and more. They have their own main quest and side quests as well. So by now, you probably get it. There are a lot of quests, but the 2 things that make this amazing and easy to pick up and play an hour a day or a few hours a week is the fact that there are rarely any fetch quests, and that all of these are actually scaled to your level, which means anybody can play these with you. Like, your friends can do these at any point. It doesn't matter if it's a base game quest or an expansion quest. And that means if you want to skip the whole base quest line, you can. And you can go back and do it anytime. It will be scaled and it won't be useless. So what that does is it allows the questing experience to be fresh and not stale. You can always go back to it. So after talking about questing, I'd like to go into the leveling system in ESO and why it's the best leveling experience of any MMO. Again, with the quests and every content that you do being scaled to your level, things always hold the same amount of weight. So again, with questing, you're going to be getting scaled experience, which is amazing. You're also going to be able to play with your friends this way. But the way leveling works in ESO is you level to level 50, then you go into your champion points. Now, champion points have been completely redone, and as I'm recording this, And we will get into that later with the new features of this, but CP works like the Paragon levels in Diablo, where you alternate 3 different types of CP each time you level up, and you slot those into your champion points to get passives and buffs. The amazing thing about ESO is your CP is shared between all of your characters. So if you get to level 50 on 5 other characters, you will then immediately go to your CP level once you hit 50. So I'm like 850 CP right now. So when a new character hits 50 on my account, it will go to 850 CP. This allows you to create alternate characters very easily and not get bogged down with non-user-friendly leveling techniques. I, for one, really like this leveling system because it allows you to pick up and play another character with ease. And the fact that everything is scaled, it makes every time you get in the game not feel like a drag, because again, you could do any quest and it'll get you the same amount of experience depending if it's a side or a main quest, and you could also grind for experience if you want to do that as well, but it's just something that feels very balanced. Now, going along with that, another pro of ESO is how the item sets work and how the endgame is structured. Now, if you played World of Warcraft and Destiny 2, then you're familiar with item level or power level. So what that is, if you aren't, is basically every expansion that comes out, the item level increases and you grind for higher item level and so on and so on. The one issue I have with this system is the fact that after one expansion, most of your items, if not all, become useless because they either get capped or they are just better, or they're just better items out there. ESO isn't set up like this, and I love that. ESO has item level, but it caps at CP 160. Once you hit that cap, you have a huge selection of item sets that have the item set bonuses. And those items will drop at levels below that as well. It's just they cap at 160. The best part is no item set is useless when a new expansion releases. Yes, some sets aren't as good as others, just maybe statistically or what they do with their bonus, but the more expansions and DLCs, the more options we get to make builds. I love this structure due to the fact that it's set to continually get more diverse and interesting, and it brings more variety to the in-game builds. In my opinion, it sucks when sets become completely useless after you grinded for months to get a said set. Also, a lot of these sets have really cool animations or abilities, and something that I want to mention is they just released the item set collection system last year, and what this did is it changed the game drastically in a good way. Because now when you're leveling up before level CP 160, the gear that you get is not completely useless. Before, it used to be useless until you hit CP 160. Now that gear goes into your collection system, sort of like Destiny 2 has that armor system where it just goes into your sticker book. It's got that in ESO now, so when you pick up that armor or put it on, sell it, research, deconstruct, it will go into your collections forever, and you can craft that armor or weapon at the max CP level when you hit that level and have the crafting requirements. This makes things so much better because it gives you that satisfaction that, hey, even though I'm level 30, I just picked up this really good armor set that I'm going to want at CP 160, so I actually feel like I'm working towards my end game build, and that is what you're doing, and that is something that's really nice about that in ESO. This leads me to my next pro: constant updates and releases. ZeniMax has been killing it with the releases in ESO. Ever since 2016, we have gotten a new expansion every year and basically 3 DLCs each year on top of that. So how they do their structure is they have a year-long journey focused around the new expansions. So this year, the expansion is Blackwood, which is Oblivion focused. There will be a dungeon DLC released in March, then the expansion in June, then another dungeon DLC in Q3, and then another story DLC in Q4 that usually comes with like another zone. They have released so much content and continue doing it on a regular basis. I don't know of another MMO that releases this much content like they do. Also, they have 12 events roughly every year, and there's currently one going on right now, Mid-Year Mayhem, which I have a guide on in the channel if you want to check it out in the description. The bottom line is you will always have content to do in this game. It is something that makes it stand out over the rest. This leads me to ESO Plus, a subscription service offered in ESO. ESO doesn't require a sub to play. You can play 100% of the game without it. I do recommend getting it though, because it will give you 1,650 crowns back every month, which is in-store currency. And you get the craft bag, which is an infinite storage bag for your crafting materials, which is really nice to have. And you'll get all the DLCs for free, essentially, because if you have the subscription, you can play all the DLCs for free just for that sub. So for me, it's worth getting the subscription. I have a guide on this if it's worth it for you in the description below. But basically in ESO, you have the option for the sub. This is something that you don't have the option or luxury for if you want to play WoW or something like that. This allows you to have a better entry point and try the game out first before investing. Also, they do run a lot of free trial events that you can get in the trial and try it out yourself. So just look out for that, and make sure to like, subscribe, heavy attack the bell icon here in the channel to stay up to date so you won't miss like free trial events like that in the future. Now moving on to another pro, the combat. I love the combat in ESO because it's fluid, fast, and just feels satisfying with the animations. This isn't really a cooldown specific combat system like WoW. Now that might be a con to some players, but for me it's a pro, and you will just have to make that judgment for yourself. Let's talk about the in-game structure and what it's like. I like the in-game in ESO because there are very challenging achievements and content to run for all types of players. You have 4-man dungeons and you have veteran versions of those dungeons. And the DLC dungeons are some of the best in-game content I've ever played in a game or MMO. The challenge of completing these on Vet, the mechanics of the dungeon themselves, and the overall design is spectacular. They're set up perfectly in my opinion. The trials or 12-man raids are also very fun, and the vet ones are definitely challenging for sure. I haven't been able to dive into a lot of the vet ones too much because they are so hard and they pose such huge challenges for a lot of players. But they are incredible from what people tell me and from the ones that I have done. They also have solo arenas like Maelstrom Arena and Vadishan Hollows. These are very fun and challenging for the solo experience. Now, as content goes, they obviously don't have as many trials or dungeons as in WoW, but this game is also a lot younger than WoW. Again, the nice thing about ESO is the fact that no dungeon or trial is obsolete because the absence of a gear level. This is something that is really nice. Now, this leads me to fashion, where I think ESO gets it right on the motif aspect. The motifs are essentially transmogs that you can apply, and these are farmable in zones by doing quests, and you're able to farm them in trials and in dungeons as well. You can also buy these in guild traders. And for the most part, these look fantastic. And something else that's really awesome about ESO is you can transmog your character in any type of armor piece. So like in WoW, you know, certain classes can't wear like mail or cloth or anything like that in their transmogs. That's not how ESO works. ESO, you can if you're wearing light armor, you can transmog a heavy chest plate if you want, which is really, really cool. You also have dyes that can be obtained from achievements, which I absolutely love. This is something that not every MMO has, and I think it should. This then goes to the housing aspect of ESO. ESO has housing, and the houses are beautiful and amazing. The amount of furnishings you can earn or buy with gold is astronomical. The only downside to some of the houses are they are crown only sometimes, so that means you would have to pay real money. But for the most part, you can obtain a lot of them with gold or even earn them for free through quests. I absolutely love the housing in ESO, and it's definitely one of the biggest perks. Now, let's talk about some of ESO's cons in my opinion. The first and biggest one is the server-related issues that happen for a decent amount of players. This happens a lot more in Cyrodiil, like the PvP zone, and in in-game trials sometimes. For the most part, I don't have that many problems myself, but I know that some players do, so I want to try to represent them. This is something, however, that ZOS is working hard on fixing this year, and they are actually getting completely new servers this year, which is a breath of fresh air. They said it isn't going to solve everything, but it will help. And since they're revamping the CP system, which we'll get into here in a second, that is going to help with server-related issues as well. I think you really shouldn't worry too much about this if you're on the fence about ESO, because again, I think generally most people have a pretty smooth experience. Next con is some of the character-based aspects that irk some players. The main one being the mount speed. So in all my beginner videos, I talk about how you should always upgrade mount speed as soon as you log in every day. The reason being is your mount speed is tied to this. It goes from 0 to 60. You can only upgrade speed every 20 real hours, and you have to do this on every character. So your mounts will be shared on all your characters. You can use all the mounts that you own, but the overall mount speed for your mounts are tied to your character. This is very frustrating for a lot of players, and I know some people wish they would just make this account based so you didn't have to upgrade mount speed on every character. But in general, to fully upgrade mount speed, it takes 60 real days, and having low mount speed is the worst in this game. On the topic of mounts, I know a lot of people see this next thing I'm about to say as a con as well as I do, and that is not enough earnable mounts in the game. Now, they have slowly started adding new earnable mounts, but there's like 5, and most mounts are acquired by crown crates or crown store purchases, which is real money. Again, you do get that 1,650 crowns a month if you have ESO Plus, but people coming from WoW might see this as a turnoff. And I will say that it does suck not to have a lot of earnable mounts, but I do think that the motif system does make up for this in some way, but I really do want them to implement earnable mounts, because I think if they did, if they had so many more, it would just blow things out of the water. But for the most part, that's all of my major cons in ESO that I can think of. And I'm serious, I'm not too much of a PvP player. I know that some people don't like the PvP, some people do. But for the most part, ESO, with the server issues that they've had, some of the character-based things, and then obviously you're going to have people that complain about nerfs and buffs and stuff like that. I am generally happy for the most part with this game, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt or anything. I've played this game for 6 years on and off, and there's a reason I've done that. It's truly a very enjoyable game, but I want to touch on a few of the new features that are coming this year with ESO so you know what to expect this year. One is the companion system. We don't know what this is completely yet, but what they have said is these are going to be your NPCs that can fight alongside you. You can level them up, gear them up, skill them up, and unlock them through quests. And this is going to be very similar, I guess, to like Star Wars, The Old Republic, and some of the other companion systems. These sound really cool and will definitely be adding in an aspect to the game that we haven't seen. This will make soloing more viable, I assume, and will be exciting to see like the builds that come with this. Also, we are getting to go to Blackwood and the Deadlands this year. The main villain is Mehrunes Dagon this year, so we're going back to Oblivion, a fan favorite, and this sets place 800 years, I think they said, before the Oblivion Crisis. I think this will bring back a lot of players due to the setting and, you know, what that brings with the Elder Scrolls series. Also, I mentioned before that the CP system was getting a rework. It is getting a huge rework. The level cap has been increased to 3,600 instead of 810 that it was prior, and they have completely tore this down and made it to where the build customization is more diverse now. I think now would be a great opportunity to jump in and learn like the rest of us, because I'm even learning this now. Like I'm not even max CP. I was max CP, but now I'm not even like a fourth to, or I'm like right at a fourth to max CP now. So for me, I'm learning the same thing you're going to be learning. So the new CP system seems really exciting, and it's going to help with performance, and it's going to make things even more diverse, which I really, really like. The next thing that makes this game worth it for players that they're adding this year is they're actually adding a completely new tutorial system to the game. This is going to be something completely streamlined, so when you're done with the tutorial, you'll be sort of in like a portal room where you can decide to do whichever questline you'd like, whether that be Somerset, Elsewhere, Greymoor, Blackwood, you name it. This will allow players to not be as confused when stepping in, because normally they'd put you in the most recent expansion, but that kind of like cuts out a lot of the story that you could have gotten before that. And so once I get my hands on this fully, I'm going to be making a guide on this for everyone so I can kind of understand it myself. So my final thoughts for you in this video is I wanted to show you the different aspects of ESO and how they compare to other games out there. What you have to do is understand what you want to get out of ESO to find if it's really worth it for you in 2021. If you take everything I say in mind, I believe on the surface for the average player, this game is worth starting and playing in 2021. It's steadily been growing. The in-game content is great. The fashion, questing, and new features added this year are things that appeal to so many players. If you are a player that's more casual and can't play as much, I would still recommend ESO to you, because again, you get so much value out of this even if you only can play a few hours a week. It truly has something for everyone, whether that be lore, in-game, fashion, RP, you name it. Now for the hardcore in-game players, I recommend ESO. I think that the server improvement this year will help a lot with this. I believe that if you want a challenge, you will find a mechanically heavy in-game that will pose some of the hardest content that you have ever done. If you are a person that wants this to be Skyrim Online, you may be disappointed. This is, at its core, an MMO. Its combat is completely different than Skyrim. You're designed to play with others. However, the companion system and a lot of other content can be soloed, So that may make it a little bit more like Skyrim, but I still wouldn't have that expectation coming in, and I would not recommend it if you think it's going to be that, because it's not. So I would recommend that you try this out in the base game first if you are more one of those Skyrim players, and see what you like about it. But overall, ESO is a great MMO. I believe that anyone that picks up this game and gives it a chance will find it very satisfying. And that's the key thing. Give it a chance and give it some time, because when I first started playing this game, y'all, I quit because I didn't know what was going on. That's what drove me to make guides. You can check out all my beginner guides here in the channel. I've got a beginner guide on almost everything in this game. You'll literally be able to find anything in this channel on ESO that can help you get started. So give it some time, try it out. I promise that you will be satisfied from playing it, because it is a great game. But again, if you ever want to ask me any questions, you can come by my Twitch chat, twitch.tv/brahwegotthis, Monday, Thursday, Saturday. You can also come by the Discord. The Discord link and the Twitch are in the description. You can also follow me on Twitter at brahwegotthis, and you can check out our website at brahwegotthis.com. But until next time, y'all, just remember to have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.